Hey, everybody. Good evening. It's time. It is time for our Superstar show. And it's called, we've finally rebranded it again, and it's called the Business Bazaar. But tonight's not so much about business. It's about, well, it is surreptitiously. It's about how you treat each other, how you talk to each other, how do you coach? What do you do when you coach? You see coaches on the sidelines screaming at their players. Is that how you coach? You know what? We're going to talk to one of the best coaches who, he could have been up in the upper echelons if he'd had the opportunity. But we're not going to talk about that. We're going to talk about all the stuff that he does know about. And I've coached, so I know, and I've lost my temper when the players aren't playing like they should be playing or know how to play. And how do you go about that? But let's talk about encouragement. Let's talk about joy. Let's talk about love prints. And we're also going to talk a little bit about the DP and Steven show. And lots of other stuff, too. It's going to be a lot of fun. So stay tuned.
Check it.
All right, everybody, we're back. Here is the time, folks. It's 7 o'clock. It is Monday. And as always, we have our program lined up for tonight, and we have part two of our program we had last week with Derrick Pearson, as you just saw. And we are looking forward to having him back on. Unfortunately, the kids, I call them the kids, Lisa and Billy. Well, I guess it's apropos for Billy, but Lisa and Billy are not with us tonight, under the weather. And you know what? It's okay, because the spotlight is on our guest tonight for the second time in a row. As far as our show is concerned, ladies and gentlemen, I want to bring in Derrick Pearson. He's here with us live from Nebraska.
Lincoln, America.
Lincoln. You know what? I had to tell you a quick story now that you just said that. My buddy and I did a summertime road trip to Colorado to see my cousin aunts, my cousins. They all live there. And anyway. So as we're driving, of course, we take the high road and go. We had to go through Ottumwa, Iowa for some reason. My buddy, MASH fan, he wanted to stay. We stayed at a Fairfield Inn in Ottumwa, Iowa. And we drove from here to Ottumwa, 17 hours nonstop. I drove the whole way. It was an awesome ride. Let me tell you, though, it was fun. Then we went and we were driving and we stopped to have lunch in Lincoln. Well, my cousins go to University of Colorado. They're big Buffs people. I adopted the Buffs because I loved their coach at the time, with Sal Unisi and all those guys, and I am so waiting for Eric Bieniemy to get a head coach job, brother.
That's two of us.
I'm so excited, Derrick. I want him to get that head coach job somewhere. I don't care where. I just love the guy.
Makes too much sense.
It does. He's the Kansas City offensive coordinator. What do you want, folks? I mean, my gosh, has he proven himself to you?
And he's an alum.
And he's an alum. There you go.
Colorado had a shot.
They did. How about that, too? At the time, I was a big fan in 90, and they shared the championship with Georgia Tech. Are you kidding?
Yeah.
Georgia Tech would have gotten wiped up off the field if Colorado had played them. There's no
All
way
facts.
Georgia Tech was as good as Colorado.
All facts. Those are all facts.
Thank you. I agree. Well, anyway, I had 2 Ralphie magnets on the back of my car. And I pulled into Lincoln. We stopped. We went in and had lunch. When we came out, this guy's sitting in his truck. He goes, "Excuse me." And we said, "Yeah." And he goes, "You should probably be heading out because anybody sees that is on the back of your car, you might have some damage." And I was like, "Oh, shoot. I forgot completely about." I ran back there, opened my trunk, took them off, put them in the trunk. I said, "Ooh, yeah. Forgot all about that." So,
I'm surprised they didn't take red Sharpies and draw.
Yeah, yeah, I know. I know I dodged the bullet, but the other part of that great trip was we're driving through Nebraska, we're doing 80, something like that. They have a speed limit of 75 in Nebraska on the highway, but you live there. And so this is what as we pulled across the border into Colorado, the speed limit sign in Colorado says what? Do you know?
I don't.
75 miles per hour. Okay. We enforce our speed limit. So you're letting everybody coming from Nebraska know you'll get pulled over here. You may not get pulled over in Nebraska.
I didn't know. Actually, here's what's funny. I didn't know till I got here that that's a big a drug portal, and they will get you in Nebraska too. Yeah. It was in finding out that.
But they may not give you a speeding ticket. They'll pull you over for speeding, check you all out. Okay, you're good. See ya.
That's changed because now they'll give you time. Like, okay, post up for a while. Welcome to Nebraska. Stay a while.
Well, at the time, I also worked at the United States Senate, and I just happened literally the day I got back. And by the way, when I was there was when they had the Capitol Hill shooting where the 2 police officers were killed while I was on my trip. And it was affected me poorly. I knew both the officers. Yeah. Anyway, but I get back and I get in to the tram to go over to the Dirksen building, and Tom Harkin gets in. And I go, "Hey, Senator, did you know they don't enforce the speed limit in your state?" He said, "I wouldn't be too sure of that."
Yeah, I was going to say, don't tell him that. He'll make a phone call, make sure everybody gets stopped.
Anyway, so that's my stories. Let's talk about Derrick Pearson. Derrick, man, the big talk this weekend obviously was a legend passed, and just really big old John Thompson. He has that wonderful big voice, and his son followed in his footsteps. The kind of coach he was. That's what I want to kind of segue from talking about him into coaching styles, because that's something that is obviously near and dear to your heart. But coaching to me is like encouraging. It's like inspire. What our 4 pillars are: encouragement, inspiration, empowerment, and either information, or I just thought in spirit is a new word, to influx spirit into a person. That's what I've always thought of as coaching. And like I said, I've lost my cool a couple times. I used to coach varsity soccer at Falls Church High School for interim. I
wore that green too for a year.
Nice. Okay.
I did. I am one to talk about John Thompson. To talk about him just as a coach is kind of like going to the buffet and eating one thing.
That's right.
He's much more vast and deep than that. He knew why he was coaching, being a man of great faith. Member of the Roman Catholic Church all of his life. Went to St. Anthony's in D.C., then on board at Georgetown, which has its own level of faith and service. And a guy that could have just played in the NBA and collected checks, decided to go into service and to raise, teach, elevate, and inspire young people. And in order to do it the way that his service required, he had to set boundaries. This was a very tough place to coach from and to recruit to. So, and the time, remember, Southeast DC was not exactly the most friendly of places to tell moms and dads, hey, give me your kid,
we want your kid to come to Southeast DC.
Yeah, to keep him safe. And being that it's not technically in Southeast, but it gave access. And he also blended DC's fluid, diverse community with a school that had not always been thought to be friendly to people of color. So for him to transition as a coach and said, listen, I'm going to do it, but it has to be done my way. I'm going to get you the right kids. Some of them are going to grow into Georgetown people while they're here. Not everybody's going to be Georgetown ready.
I can think of a few right off the top of my head.
Right. Yep. But once they get here, I will turn them into Georgetown grads. I would turn them into the greatest version. Yeah, to the greatest version of themselves.
Yes.
And in coaching, it's not, to me, I never coach for wins and losses. I never have, never would. It is about what you can do with those people. Can you change their trajectory? Can you change their elevation, their height, their location, their level and location, I like to say. And if they ask me why you coach, it's directional, forward and up. And John Thompson was exceptional at that. And he was very, very protective of his young cubs, to the point where he made people uncomfortable, because that's what the lead line does, is that it roars so that he has to be sure of why you're approaching his young people, and then protect them. The same thing for a bear, to be as big as you can be so that predators will think second before you come into that circle and into that space.
Right.
John Thompson is still, to this day, he's and I'll try not to cry during this talking about John Thompson, because he's heroic to me at a very high level. I mean, to aspire to be, as a broadcaster, as a coach, as a man, to aspire to live at the level of elevation that John Thompson did. John created great people in a very tough environment. I remember he took on Rayful Edmonds, and who was the most feared man in all of DC, including the president.
Right.
And John Thompson took him on one-to-one and said, listen, this
you
is
come
how
around here. Right.
Yeah, this is how we're going to do that. So while his size and skin color and aura often kept people at a distance, he used it for good, because it was anybody, and I live from this myself, anybody that would judge me because of how I look doesn't know me.
Correct.
And they've lost out.
Yeah, that's right.
Like that, if you took time to get close enough to John Thompson, to get close enough to a man of character, then you can find the character. Character doesn't show up on your sleeve. It doesn't show up on your face. It really is an internal thing. So I coach from that. Am I elevating? Am I inspiring? Am I educating? And then am I directionally changing the course of their life for greater good? And that's constant. That I never get. You talk about guys that yell at players. I yell at players once, and that is when they are hurting themselves. See, if they missed a play, nobody misses a play and on purpose. Now, if he does something that he knows that here are our team rules, and that's how you carry yourself, how you play, how you prepare. Those rules are set day one. You get one time for me to be mad at you about that. I can only be mad at things that I haven't taught you or coached you.
Right.
That's simple. That's simple. Because then otherwise, once you know what's expected, you know the standard that we're going to work from, you know the direction that we're going in. Yeah, once the expectation is set, and that's for life, that's in business, that's in relationships, that once you set the standard, then you don't have to go back to the beginning ever. Remember last week I told you, the question that I asked players and parents on day one is, do I have your permission to tell you the truth? And once we do that, and once we look each other in the eye and we agree that we're going to tell each other the truth, then if we go left, the GPS says, "Look, man, that's not where we said we were going. That's not how we said we were going."
Rerouting.
Right?
Rerouting. Yeah.
Rerouting. This is not what we said we're going to do.
Yeah.
That works for parents. It works for coaches. It works for administrators, and most importantly, it works for the young people because it gives them a timetable about, hey, how far have I come? How far have I gone? How far do I have to go?
Right.
And am I still on course?
Sure. That's awesome. And he was the epitome of that, as well as you. But you know,
look, he went into much deeper water than I ever could have.
Well,
Yeah,
how about deeper water than you did? You
right?
could have, but yeah, ain't going there.
But to get to go to a jail, to go to jails and houses of punishment, and to reach in from your own time and heart and go and pull somebody out to make them great again.
Yeah.
Like that's like, I'm not going to devalue a human being because of where they are.
Or the mistakes they may have made, or choices they have made, or someone else made that got them in trouble, right?
Right.
A million different ways to look at it. You know,
be present.
I understand.
Be present. Where are you now? What are you doing now? I don't have, my testimony is not one of perfection and not having made mistakes. I've made a lot of mistakes and received a lot of lessons, but I'm smart enough now to pay attention to it.
Right.
Like I didn't always pay attention to the lessons. Like there was a message in all of it, and I wasn't smart enough or even caring enough.
That's maturity, you know, and wisdom.
But that's what it is. And but I also get to now tell the young people that listen, and old people too, that I've made a ton of mistakes and learned a lot of lessons, so you don't have to.
Right. Exactly.
Like you don't have to. Listen, I can tell you, I can tell a 16, 17, 18, 19, 20-year-old high school, college student about his dating life, because guess what, bro? I was there when the playbook was written. Like you think that this new move you came up with is brand new. Nah, bro, I was there. I was in the room when we drew it up on the board the first time. It was like, wait a minute, I know how you get in and out of your girlfriend's house, and whether it be in the afternoon, in the evening, or late at night. I know how you did it, and guess what? I can save you.
Yes.
From making the mistake of feeling like you have to sneak to get it, when the right way, if it's worthy enough of you to go through the window or climb out the side door, it's worth you walking to the front door, ringing the doorbell, and announcing yourself.
Yes, that's true.
And those
that's
are
very
the
true.
Yeah.
You know, my dad, growing up, there's a couple. He's made very many wives. He was a commander in the Army, and so he's management. I learned from him how to manage people. He always made his, for instance, the NCO, the chief NCO, who's usually the sergeant major, to him was the most important cog in the wheel, in the engine. And he treated that man like that, and he would tell me, oh, that guy's a sergeant major, staff sergeant major, Lee, you better give him every bit of respect that he's due to him, because he knows what it takes to become that. Mm-hmm. My dad's an officer because he went to college and took ROTC. The sergeant major swamped in the dirt, and I hit more to it than that, obviously. But I remember one of the things he would say to me, one of the things that was simple was, don't put yourself in a position to get in trouble. And I live by that.
GPS.
Exactly.
GPS. Like if you, again, where are you going? Do you know where you are right now? Do you know? Right. Hey, look, I know you said you're at Susie's house, but what you said you were going to do was go be greater. Now, if Susie is making you greater, then albeit stay there and be great. But if not, this either has to be rest or rerouting. And it's constant. It's constant to have to go through that. The value of individual people. I love that you talk about that. Your father would speak to the value of the moment, of the person you're with. just being present enough to pay attention to that person.
Yeah.
Now, you know, that also holds true for the guy that you don't know.
Mm-hmm. It absolutely does. Sure.
The person that you don't know, the woman that you don't know, that may be the greatest thing in the room.
That's right.
And we fall into, well, that looks like a win. That looks like a win.
Yeah.
That right there, that looks like fun. What we should say is, does that look like forever? Does that look like me? Like, look, I understand the need and desire to go recreate.
Yes.
But sometimes that recreation will take you away from work, important work. And that's time you could have spent working on the one.
Exactly.
That's money. Like, once you spend the money on not the one, you can't get it back.
No.
You can't get it back. So,
you know, I listened to I used to work in Christian radio as a board op, and I used to play Dr. Dobson, focused on the family. You love his wisdom and being a family psychologist and everything like that, or psychiatrist. Sorry, he's a doctor. He had a guest on, Tim LaHaye, I think, one time, who's a big writer, written lots of books and stuff like that. And they were talking about family, things like that. And Tim LaHaye said, "Let me tell you a story, Dr. Dobson. My son came to me the other day and he said, 'Hey, Dad, can I get the keys to the car?' And I'm like, 'Why? Why do you want to get the keys to the car?' He said, 'Oh, I want to take Jessica out. I'm going to take Jessica out.' And I said, 'Oh, Jessica's a nice girl, huh?' 'Yeah, she is.' 'We're just going out with a bunch of friends, though, Dad.' I said, 'Okay, that's fine.' I said, 'So you and Jessica kind of having a good time?' 'Yeah.' He goes, 'Do you think you and Jessica might get married?' 'Dad, what? Come on, Dad.' And he's like, 'Oh, okay. Well, you think someday you'll get married?' And he said, 'Yeah.' He said, 'You think someday Jessica will get married?' He's like, 'Sure, absolutely.' He said, 'Well, I want you to do this for me, please. Treat Jessica the way you want the guy treating the guy who's going out with your future wife to treat her.' Man, I heard that. I probably missed the next 3 cues. I was like, what a powerful demonstration of what it means to be a man in the dating scene and in relationships. Our whole society has a different way of looking at, how relationships should be.
A lot of it is learned, though. I mean,
yes. Oh, absolutely.
It's learned, right? And often it's learned. We as men tend to date at the level of the woman we're dating. Like, we date. Oh, I'll treat her like at the level I think she belongs at.
Right.
And the only way we get corrected is if she tells us, "Oh no, you were shooting way too low. You look, man. You thought I was a McDonald's meal."
Ruth Chris, baby.
Like, if you don't understand that this is what this is, right? That, wait a minute, you can't approach me that way, and you certainly can't treat me that way.
That's right.
And unfortunately, the final woman gets the credit, right? The right one gets credit for all the work of the wrong ones. And you have to go through all that, right? You have to go through that. Okay, I'll learn how to keep the house clean on my own, so that when I get the right one, I already know how. But the wrong one had to teach me that I can't do that. I had to learn how to cook, so that the right one would go, "Oh, okay, this dude already knows how to cook." I had to dress a certain way, I had to present a certain way. And a lot of it is learned at home.
Sure.
And then it's often broken down when we go to college or get out of the house and go into service or whatever it is. And then there's a short window where we start to accept all the lessons and put them together in the final package. It's, you know what? I know what I'm not. That's the only way I'm going to know who I am. And you have to, you got to date crazy. Sometimes you got to act crazy.
Yeah.
Right? To see, oh, no, I can't do this.
Right.
I can't do this. Can you date poor? Can you date smart? Can you date dumb? Because it takes a whole lot more work to date dumb than it does to date smart. Like people think, well, she's high maintenance. Oh, no. Dumb is high maintenance.
Yeah.
Because
That's exactly right. That's
have
exactly right.
And women have accepted that long before men have.
Yeah.
Women go, I can't let you go shopping in my house. Like, I can't let you go shopping with my future.
Exactly.
So we learn it. It happens in business as well, that we have to make really bad decisions sometimes, things that we think are the right thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
But all of it goes back to getting to a place where you understand why you're doing what you do, rather than the benefits of what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Why you're doing it better be starting with love. Either love of self, love of other, or love of all. It can't be love of money. It can't be love of praise. It can't be love. It can't be any of those things.
Right.
That if you're into business because you love it, like if you're starting this podcast, it better be. It can't be love of money, because you'll go broke.
That's right.
You'll go broke.
That's absolutely right. I agree with you 100%.
Yep. It can't be because of love of partnership. It better be because of the power and the beauty of putting people together on a project. If you're going to do this, it can't be because you want to be on air and you want people to see you. You better give them something to see.
Right.
You better be able to feed them. And
that's right.
I became better at broadcast. I became better at coaching. I became better at life. Once I said, what's the first thing? And if the first thing is, love. If it starts from my heart, like I can't do fear. I can't do, look, man, can you do it?
Can't. Nope.
Is this somebody I want to be around? I want to legitimately be around, not because of what they do for me, but because what we can do together. Business, personal, sports, academics, it all has to, if you love a thing, you learn it more quickly.
Yeah.
You learn it more in-depthly, and you will do better with it. That's all that stuff. Yep.
In-depthly. Yep. I'm going to have to work on that word. I have to use that one. Hey, so one of the other things that I wanted to say, though, going back to what you were talking about with the kids, young people that you're working with and stuff, and that is the other thing, my other word of wisdom that I will always remember, and I tell it to kids all the time, and they look at me and go, which is what I used to do to my dad.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's not fair. He would say, boy, do you think I was 15, then I was 17, and I was never 16? Same kind of thing when you're dealing with young men. They're like going, Coach, you wouldn't understand. Oh, no. Where have I been? I just became a coach and I came this old.
What gets lost, it only gets lost if we don't take the time to explain that.
Right. Exactly.
Like that's how simple, right? Like I'd love enough to explain it to you.
Yes.
That's coaching. That's coaching. Yes. That's business. That's service. That's dating. I love you enough. I care enough for you to get it right. And from when you get it right, it means I have to sit here and explain to you. You think of the favorite person you spend time with. It's because you spent time explaining yourself to them and them to you.
Right.
They know where the bodies are buried. They understand why you do what you do.
Yes.
They get why you do it. We get into these vacuums. You've seen those couples who don't even talk anymore, right? You've seen them. It's like, talk about. I ain't got nothing else to say to you. I don't care enough to share with you. And that's the curve, right? And then there are couples that just chat at each other, even if they're disagreeing. But when they go home, it's on because they stay connected, right? At least checks and balances. Like, hey man, look, you at least cared enough to explain it to me. Coaching is just that thing that I'm willing to be patient enough with myself, with why I'm doing it, to tell these kids what I think will work for them. And I also have to live in a way that they can see that message coming back to fold for them. Like I can't tell them, hey, you need to do your books, but I don't care. I don't care about you graduate. No. If you want to live how I'm living, you want to date who I'm dating, you want to go travel like I'm traveling. here are the rules that I have to follow to do so.
Mm-hmm.
And this is not a money thing. This is an effort thing. I can show you. Hey, look,
Right.
bro. Look, man. Like they see when they see you roll up, right? Like the first day, I'm like, we're gonna have our parent team meeting at my house. Like I'll flash my house just like, okay, just so when Dad tell you, he know, okay, coach is real. We ain't got to worry about it. When we talk about women and talk about girls, I have to speak to them in a way that they understand, but also transcends them.
Correct.
If I can explain about women to young people, or to explain men, like I always had female managers on my teams, and these are young teenage girls. And look, the moment I learned that they're listening,
Mm-hmm.
that they're listening, like they want to know, oh, well, this is what I want to grow up to this. Right. I can't give them the other thing. I can't do that to them. So explain to them why you can't allow men to treat you that way.
That's correct.
It doesn't serve your greater purpose.
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't. And it doesn't. Like, it does. It may feel good temporarily, but tomorrow, how will you feel about it?
Yeah.
And most of them get it.
We don't need to delve into this too much, but I agree with you. Number one, a lot of people, we're at a transition in life with persons of certain ages. I work as a security specialist in the high schools. I work with these kids. A lot of the guys who work with me are former law enforcement, and God bless them. Some of them have been great, but a lot of them don't have any business working in a high school because they need to have a heart for those kids, and they come from law enforcement and, they're jaded and I get it. Everyone's a bum, because they deal with bums all day long. So they think these dumb kids, that kind of stuff. And they say, do this. And the kid goes, why? And he goes, because I told you to, that kind of thing. You can't do that anymore.
You're not going to
When you say, this is what you need to do, right? You need to do this. And they go, why? You better have an answer or else they're not going to do it.
I have a friend who's special services, and he said that he went back to my question, which was, do I have permission to tell you the truth? And he would say to his agents that you can't do the job if you don't like the people you have to do it with. You can't do the job. You can't lead. That's a leadership position. Correct. Security is safety.
Absolutely.
It's a boundary. It is not control.
Yeah, I don't like security.
No. This is this is protection rather
protection
than,
and safety.
Right.
That's right.
Yeah. And he would say, "Listen, how can you make that person safe if you don't love them?"
Mm-hmm.
And he said he went through that. We've had that discussion. I've got 3 police officers in my immediate family, close enough that I can talk to and get information.
Mm-hmm.
And they went to your point where they run into people who described the people that they protect and serve as bums.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, well, then you can't go to work that day.
That's
See, because if you're going to have the responsibility of protecting folks and putting that badge on and wearing the clean pressed and looking good and having all of that, even though you are at risk, the superhero still knows that the only thing that separates him from a villain is love. Love for what he does. Like they have the same talents. You can take any hero and a villain, they have the same skill set. What separates them is that the superhero operates from love. They love the people in the community. They will fight for them. They will lose sleep for them. And they would never, ever, you've never heard a superhero refer to somebody as a bum, but a villain will tell you quickly that person is of less value. And you can change the message. You can simply say, hey, listen, you're doing some real villain type stuff, and that's not who you are.
Exactly.
And it's that turn that always in movies and books that turn villains into heroes.
Mm-hmm.
Is because they become loving rather than the other.
Right.
That's your whole point, is to simply say, listen, police officer, love you and respect you. We need your help.
Yeah.
I'm not less than and needing your help. A person that's down under the luck or in a bad situation needs your help. They need your love. They don't need your judgment.
No.
I don't know. Like, that's not how this works. That's not what we're there for. And my nephew is a police officer in Texas. And you want to talk about some real wild, wild west, real business stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But his ability to stay focused in that, he said, I get up and put on the badge. And the moment he clicks on the badge, it says, I'm going to help people.
Good.
And if that's not what you're doing, again,
I'm going to serve. I'm going to serve.
There are folks that, you know what, they need to go and wreck stuff, and they're mad. They're having a bad day, and they got to put that badge on. Don't put the badge on if you're having a bad day. Don't put the badge on if you don't love where you're going and what you're doing.
Yeah.
The same is for coaches. Don't grab the whistle. Look, your wife upsetting you that day, then you can't go spread that to all these kids.
Right.
A teacher having a bad day, you can't do that.
Now, being a soccer coach, one of my mentors, the guy who was the coach at Falls Church, but he just couldn't do it anymore because he was going to be working in Princeton and it was too much of a commute. And he knows soccer. And I remember him, one of the wisest things he said to me was, Lee, if you don't have them prepared come game time, then that's on you. He said, but if you do have them prepared, then you go over and sit on the sideline and let them play. Because you don't have to be going out there. And football's different. You're calling plays, all that kind of stuff. But it didn't used to be. Used to be the coaches stood back and let the players call the plays. And they don't do that anymore, which drives me a little crazy. But in soccer, you have trained them. You've shown them how to move the ball up and down the field. Yes, of course, you have to throw a sub in when the sub is necessary. And you want to maybe stand up on the sideline just to watch how the game is progressing. Because I used to pull players off for getting a drink of water. Tell them what they need to be doing. Listen, you're not doing this like we talked about. Let's do this. And then I put them right back on the field. I had my set starters who were the best 11 guys on our team, and the rest of our team understood that. They loved getting in when they got a chance, and they loved practicing, but we had guys on our team that were part of DC United's academy, because of where we were. And, that was one of those things that he told me, he said, you don't need to be standing yelling out at the players on the field. You stand there, watch the game, and you pull a player off if you need to talk to him. Don't stand there and yell at them. It'll distract them. It'll get them off their game. Pull them if you have to, but and then talk to them.
I'm okay with vocal leadership, and being a presence.
Oh, encouragement for sure.
The present. My thing is, here's a reminder of what we do. Our code words to remind young people, because these aren't the most mature adults on the planet. And a lot of this, they're not playing the game at the level that I know it. I can see what's going to happen before they do. So it would be selfish and immature and unprofessional of me to keep going and not tell them what I see. That's my job as a coach. Okay, here we are. I don't care if it's basketball, baseball, football. That, okay, we're in 5 out. Okay, let's go 4. Now I want you, watch the pick here. Make a decision. The decision's coming. All right, be prepared. Be a good teammate. Spacing. All those things. It's soothing to the young person to have that grown-up vision and vantage in their ear. The moment I get quiet means that I'm no longer doing the job. I'm not doing in football. The play calls are simple. It's okay. Good job. If a good play was made, I've got 30 seconds in between plays to communicate. And in that case, I've really got 12 seconds to get my play in. I know how long it takes. I know how long it's going to take to give them the play, get them in the huddle, and get them comfortable in it. If there are any questions, they'll have another 7 seconds to a receiver to look over, or a quarterback that sees something that goes against what we called. And then we adjust. I can't go dark then. That's when they look over at me. That's the bat signal, bro. That's like when they look over at me. That's the back signal. Hey, coach, I need you, bro. Like I need you. In baseball, the same thing. You know, even as a head coach, I'm a third base coach, and they're looking down to acknowledge, what are we doing? Are we okay? We're looking over. Runners look over in the dugout, looking over. Why? Because it's shared IQ. My players can be smart. I can be smart. Together, we're smarter. And if they're comfortable, I leave it alone.
Yeah.
But there are times when they need to simply hear,
"Oh, of course.
I'm okay.
And they're expecting it.
I'm okay.
Yeah.
Right? There's just that constant. I'm okay. Yeah, you're okay. You're okay.
Yeah. I mean,
Coach, that was a bad strike. You know, you're okay.
Right. The players. Let me ask you this: in baseball, do players just go with what the coach is signaling in? Or do the players ever signal to the coaches and say, "Hey, I want to steal," and coach then kind of looks at it and goes, "Go for it. You got it. Get the green light."
It depends on the player and the team. I've had teams where we ran all the time on everybody: good catcher, bad catcher, good pitcher, bad pitcher. If there was an exceptional pitcher and an exceptional catcher, depending on the situation, because situation first inning 1 out is different than fourth inning 2 outs.
Of course.
It's different than seventh inning no outs. And on a good team. Now, what I found to be true is if I'm going against a talented artillery, right? That if the pitcher and the catcher are both top level, I better run. I better make them uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
I can't let them sit there and just be great. I can't let him get into a rhythm. I don't want him to just sit there and dominate the game and control the pace of the game. Once I get a runner on, look, you know what I want? I want the first baseman. I want the first baseman to not be in his normal position. He's now got a hold and he don't know if I'm going or not. Second baseman, shortstop have got to communicate. They're now freaking out because here we go. Who's stealing? What's the pitcher going to throw? Is he going to throw something that's going to go opposite field? Is he going to be able to pull the ball? I need to be able to communicate that. He may shake off a pitcher, so now they've got to pay more attention to the pitch call between pitcher and catcher. Third baseman is looking over because if we got to run on first now, he's got to get on his toes now. He's no longer comfortable because I could bunt and put him to work, and then he's got to remember now whether the first baseman's coming in to field the bunt or whether he's going to be there for him to take the throw. And the catcher now not only has to call the pitch, watch the runner, but then he's got to be aware of a guy who could bunt and put him in duress. Because who's he going to throw to and where are they going to be? Do they know to be there?
Yeah.
So the attack is to have the players, they trust my plan. There are some players that I don't have to call that. There's probably 3 or 4 guys on my team that have the green light to go if
whenever
they can win.
Feel like they can.
They can win. I've got 2 guys that I never want to run. They know who they are. They before the game. As a matter of fact, they're looking over, hoping I don't ask them to run because this is not what they want to do. They're looking down for permission to swing. They want to know if I'm going to hit and run. They want to know otherwise. But they look down. Is it 3-0? Coach, is he going to give me a fastball? Is this a fastball you can handle? We'll look down. I can tell by the look in the eye and the way he's standing in the box. Oh, no, he wants a piece of this guy. So
yeah, sure. Absolutely.
It depends on the team. I build players to trust players.
Yes.
I'm there to reinforce and answer questions in case they don't know.
You're absolutely true. I was just thinking about, the differences between the different sports. Basketball and soccer, I keep making parallels with my players about that because both those games are fluid. Football, play. Baseball, play. There's breaks between each play, between each set of what's going to happen. You set up and go. Soccer, fluid. Basketball, fluid. Lacrosse, fluid. Rugby, fluid. You're just constantly moving. And they have to be prepared before the game to be able to go fluid because they may not hear me, if they're all out there and they have to talk. That's the key too. They don't have time.
They don't have time to hear you. Basketball for me is to run a system where I teach rules. I teach them how to play rather than to teach them plays.
Correct.
I don't understand. Hey, this is what we're going to run UCLA. We're going to run Laker cut. No. What are the rules for how we're going to create offense? How we're going to score points? Is it spacing? Is it movement? If this, then this. If that, then this, then that, and then that. And then I'll remind them, hey, third pass, look for a cutter. Now, I may call out that there's a particular player I want to pick on, right? There may be a little lamb out there that, as they say, it might be a mouse in the house, and I need
86-42. That used to be our play. We got 86-42.
Yeah,
and the kids knew. If I said 86, they knew what was going on.
Yeah, I mean, there's certain times inbound plays tend to be more specialized.
And that's called a set play in soccer. Is a set.
Yeah.
And I was going to say the same thing in basketball. Those are the times where you say run four, on this inbound. And they know what that means. That means you want to go out to the outside guy or you want to bounce in, then get the ball right back, whatever.
If I've done the job to that point, giving them an answer to what, hey, coach, he's pressing up on me, go by. He's playing off, open jumper. He's going to set a pick here. Okay, roll. Then there's 3 options off the roll. What are we going to do? Today's basketball game is really fluid. It really is. But it's so high level that one set can give you 13 plays off of that set on any given trip, just off the first passed option.
Right.
So, yeah, I like the idea of creating smart players. If I teach them how to play, I don't have to call plays. They're able to identify a weakness. If they're doing all the rules that I gave them, oh, look, I don't bunch up. I don't call for the ball. I simply am going to run our plays, and we're going to play high IQ baseball, football, basketball. If I take, and I would say this, I would just as easy, I would rather have smart players than great athletes. Smart players I can coach to outwork and to outthink the other athletes.
You can coach great athletes too, Coach.
Oh, great athletes make a whole lot easier.
I remember
great athletes
covering high school sports for 25 years here in the northern region. With Fairfax Channel 10 Sports and Fairfax Sports Network. We did a lot of that, and there's a couple teams that you remember. One was Chantilly's basketball team, because they were just a team. They weren't big, they didn't have a big man, but when they had their Pohanka Classic and the guys from Friendly came in from Southeast or wherever Friendly is exactly, and they had all these huge players, and of course at tournaments they're allowed to dunk ahead of time, to show off, and that's they beat them by 50 points. Chantilly did, and made every player angry on the Friendly side because they could not get anything going.
Great
and
players,
it was amazing.
Great players. Great coaches can make really good players. Great players make coaches great right off the bat. Look, I get Woodson, W.T. Woodson. I mean, look, we had Eric Bowles for 4 years. We had, listen. There was a whole lot of coaches that had good teams, but we had a dude with the ball who, I don't think any time in those 3 years that there was somebody that I would have rather had the ball in his hand. Smart kid, super talented, super tough. When Eric Bowles left, they had Jason Agner. Jason Agner was, again, this kid's at Christopher Newport now, but understand.
Isn't it great when they just step up?
Yeah, when he came in, when Bowles left and Agner came in, I mean, Nate Sperling, but Jason Agner, this was the dude I wanted with the ball. This was the dude that was going to get the rebound. He made great coaches better, but he was also super smart. Like Eric Bowles was a genius.
Yeah.
He just, sometimes it didn't apply. Again, these are kids that love the game, so how they worked at it showed. Like I always say, don't tell me you love football, baseball, basketball, whatever that sport is, but you don't treat it that way. Do you play the game like you love it? Do you play it like you love it? Look, more importantly, do you practice it like you love it?
Yeah.
So you can't just show up on game night, honey, I'm here, let's go dance. No,
Sonny Jurgensen.
No. You got to talk. Look, Sonny said this 100 million times that the only regret he had in his life was that he did not ever get to be his best Sonny.
Can you imagine? As good as he was, and he wasn't a practicer, and he'd go out the night before drinking, showed up half the time in the box, but how good was he? And how much better could he have been?
If Sonny
It just would have been
played
crazy.
under today's rules and today's practices and today's workouts,
Nutrition,
he
all
would
that
have.
stuff.
But people forget that Sonny Jurgensen was an All ACC safety.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Sonny was a two-way guy.
D, yeah.
Sonny could go.
Yeah.
But Sonny loved the life just as much as he loved being good at the game. And yeah, there's some thing. I mean, think for how many years that he lost out to Billy Kilmer. Yeah. How many years he lost out being in Philly where it didn't go the way he wanted. When he got under Vince, all of a sudden all bets are off and the lights are on, and Sonny became the greatest version of Sonny.
Mm-hmm.
If Vince had, God bless him, if Vince had stayed alive,
yeah,
that Super Bowl year would have been 3 Super Bowl years.
Yeah,
like so he would have got more of Sonny. And I love Billy Kilmer like a dad, but Sonny was the better quarterback, and it wasn't even funny. But Billy did what was required. Remember, Billy
Same
was
with Theismann. Theismann wasn't a great quarterback, but he ran the offense. I'll tell you the other guy. Now we're talking about sports. Mm-hmm. One of my favorite guys who I feel like got the short end of the stick was Mark Rippon, because he wasn't that great a quarterback, but he could throw the long ball like nobody's business, and he could call running blocking schemes. He could Bugle had him trained to read the defense.
That's a lot, though.
That's a huge. I'm just saying
to do what Rippon did.
So when Pettibone took over, though, right, he wanted to do the West Coast offense. Rippon doesn't run the West Coast offense, and unfortunately the guy is gone. It's goodbye.
I just sometimes you have to copy success.
Yeah. Exactly.
Like just don't the worst. I tell my coaching buddies in the fraternity that in a room full of coaches, I rarely lean away from anything as much as when one of those coaches goes, you know what we should do?
Mm-hmm.
It would be a really cool idea. Mm-mm.
No, and I've said this. Here's and getting back to the Colorado Buffaloes, my friend. I'm going to tell you something. One of the best athletes and quarterbacks was Cordell Stewart. Mm-hmm. And he had 8 different offensive coordinators in his 9-year career. 8 different ones. How can you expect a player to excel when he's got to learn all the new lingo, all the new plays every single season? There's no coasting for him ever. And he still played pretty well. Coach, I used to listen. The thing I liked most about Joe Gibbs is he designed his game plan around the strengths of his players. He never asked a player to do something they weren't good at. He designed the game plans. And I don't understand. If you're a good coach, you ought to be able to do that. You ought to be able to recognize who your players are, see the talent, and put together the game plan.
But yes? Joe Gibbs was such the picture of love and trust.
Yes.
That they would have learned whatever Joe needed for them to learn.
True.
And then they would run through the wall for him.
Sure.
Like it's one, you were good. Joe was going to get all of everybody. Like there was nobody that played for Joe Gibbs that didn't give him everything.
Yeah.
Everything. There's not a lot of coaches that can do that. Not a lot of coaches want to do that, but not a lot of coaches have Joe's faith, Joe's strength. Joe said, listen, this is my job. I'm going to this will be my service. I'm going to spend 20 hours a day in this park. What's not going to, the thing that I can control is how smart and how proficient I am at this thing. I don't control how other people live. I don't control what other coaches do, but nobody is going to outwork me. And Doc Walker likes to say it all the time that he didn't want to be the guy to let down Joe Gibbs. You show up from a night out and Joe Gibbs is still there with the light on. Well, geez, how many times can a person of character and quality watch that happen without finally going, you know what, I need to get myself together.
Yeah. And
that's what it was. I mean, he let them be grown-ups. He let them live a little, as long as for that 3-hour window each day, they gave everything that they could give. And you're right. He didn't ask. He knew what Mark Rippon's resistance were. He knew the things that he didn't feel comfortable in. He knew that he couldn't run Gary Clark at practice at 100% all week because it was more important for him to have Gary on Sunday. He knew
exactly
that he let Arthur Monk hit a few people. Art's a better receiver when he gets to knock somebody down a couple of times. He understood that. He also understood that Donnie Warren could have been an all-pro tight end catching the ball. But what they needed for Donnie to do was be an extra hog, to be the next dude up. Didier, go and do your thing, man. Go and be Doc, go do your thing. Dutch, we need you to sit over here and bang heads for a little bit. And Donnie Warren did that for him, and the rest is history.
Yeah. I love Donnie Warren, and I used to love the opportunities to interview him after games at Centerville. Centerville?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And he's a good man. And I just really enjoyed, and I watched some of the catches he made. Unbelievable.
Dutch was tough, and a pretty good softball player too.
Was he?
Pretty good softball player.
Well, I'll remember that if he's still in the area, and the softball team.
that Redskin team had some probably Ripon and Stan Humphreys were probably the two best pure softball players that could just smash.
Yeah.
Played in a game against Art Monk, and he hit a ball over my head 380 feet, which is grown man stroke.
Yes.
Grown man stroke. And then I got to play. There were a couple of celebrity games I got to play for Washington. And imagine, I thought I was a pretty good athlete, and I thought I was pretty quick. But standing next to me is Art Monk. Standing next to him is Gary Clark. Standing next to him is Ricky Sanders.
Oh, where's Ricky Sanders?
Yeah, and immediately I became the slowest person in the room. But
were you hitting it as far as them?
I hit it pretty good, but Art Monk, I mean, look, man, those dudes, that was a different time. Those guys were part. It's just different.
Their hand-eye coordination is unbelievable. These guys could be playing. Also, speaking of sports, half these guys could be playing on the senior tour on golf in PGA. I mean,
Ripon has great stroke. Kerry Conklin, who used to be with Washington, great stroke. Usually kickers are probably the best golfers.
They have lots of time to go play.
Kickers and quarterbacks, just like in baseball, pitchers tend to be the best golfers.
Well, I'm not going to say nothing else, but all I got to say is I've seen the video of Charles Barkley teeing off. That's the craziest thing I've ever seen in my life. I don't understand.
That's a lot of moving parts, man. That's a lot.
He still does it. And he still plays. I would not play if I could.
I'm surprised that Jordan has married the game at the level he had, because long players tend to struggle and grind at it. It's not built for all of that length and such. So it's just really cool to watch athletes and knowing the other sport that they could have been good at. Stan Humphries would have been a great pitcher. Shortstop. Ripon was a great pitcher and shortstop.
Well, and they probably were in high school and college even.
All of those dudes were two sports.
All those dudes played at least two. LeVar Arrington played everything.
Yeah.
Baseball, football, basketball, and would have played and laced up for lacrosse if he, the guy was incredible.
Jim Brown still is America's greatest lacrosse player.
I bet. Well, yeah.
Jim Brown. No, he was.
Where did lacrosse?
At Syracuse. At Syracuse University, Jim Brown is amongst laxers.
Yeah.
They will tell you that Jim Brown was the greatest American lacrosse player that ever was. And had he not been the greatest football player to ever live, Jim Brown had the opportunity to be one of the best basketball players to ever live.
I bet. I believe it. Hey, listen, we
So-
got to wrap it up, Derrick.
Yeah,
We've
man.
come to the end of the program. My friend, we're definitely, if it's okay with you, we'll have you back on another time.
Yeah, and we've got
I'll
to
have you
talk
on in the
about
morning, maybe at 11 o'clock, or no,
Yeah.
you do your show then. So, but
It's the
maybe
hour
we'll have you
before.
on.
It's the
All
hour
right.
before. We can make it work, but I still my mission through the TEDx world is to see that if there's a story, if there's a TEDx story in Lee Bailey.
I think there's several, actually. I just need to talk to you about how do I go about making it happen.
That's the rule. There it is.
All right, brother. All right. I got to go.
All right.
Take you. I will talk to you. Thank you so much, Derrick Pearson. Ladies and gentlemen, Derrick Pearson, the man. Thank you for watching tonight, and I hope you have a beautiful, beautiful day.